Welcome back once again to Brick System Brothers. I'm on Brickset.com today, and I wanted to share something from the document library. So to find this page, you'll have to go to the More tab, and then under the Library heading, go to this More section here, and that will open up some of the lesser known document library categories, and these are just fun to browse through sometimes. But a couple weeks ago, I ended up on this page, and down at the bottom, not quite at the bottom, is the desktop wallpapers page. So there's kind of two different collections here, and they're actually somewhat dated, but they're still worth looking through if you've got some extra time. Mostly these are the box art images. So when LEGO releases a set, generally there is a nice depiction on the front of the box along with some of the age information, and then certain country requirements have the piece count and age brackets and some additional stuff. So depending on where you live, your LEGO boxes may or may not have all of the same text details. But what's here on this page is actually the background images for most of these sets from this era, early 2000s, even going back to the 90s a little bit. So the LEGO box would have this image and then also some of the stuff underneath the logo on this left side. It's probably somewhat familiar with that. So yeah, I just ended up scrolling through here for a little while. It doesn't take too long to get through all of them actually, and they're grouped by theme, which is nice, so you can kind of go through and pick out your favorite theme. So I wanted to make you guys aware of this page, which is hosted on Brickset. But today, specifically, I wanted to share some of the files that I ended up downloading just to have more of a personal reference. These would be some of my favorites out of the entire wallpaper collection. So I just thought I'd pick a few of these to dive into a little bit more, keep it a little bit shorter today, but I'm going to save this one for last and start with the LEGO Universe ones. LEGO Universe was an online game from 2011, 2012, and it was only up for a year or two before they decided to pull the plug on the resources. So this was a LEGO operated game, and instead of outsourcing it like they have with some of their other ones, I think a lot of this was internal, and they ended up deciding that it wasn't worth the resources they were spending on it to keep it going. I still get a massive wave of nostalgia when I see pictures from this game because I was pretty into it for that time that it was up, and I really enjoyed having played it for the brief time that it was there. But yeah, basically what's left of it now officially is some of the old reference material, and I have seen a few places where there are independent projects working on bringing something similar back to operation, but I've just been following that loosely. But I haven't seen any major developments recently. In any case, this is probably going on about 10 years now, and like I said, still brings back the good memories. So I thought this image was interesting. It actually has somewhat of a class breakdown for some of the different archetypes that you could play as, and I remember some of these four main ones because they were used somewhat extensively in the promotional material. But yeah, it also has some intermediate ones, so I thought this one was interesting. And then all the LEGO Universe ones are grouped together on Brickset if you want to go look at these there. This has the orange space character, and this is actually an official minifig. It was pretty exclusive, so this print on here does exist. Haven't been able to find one, but on the lookout as always. Yeah, so this would be more of the stylized art that I was thinking of with these four main classes, and it also harkens back to some of the TNT games where the characters don't have like the same hard boundaries that physical minifigs do. So the hair kind of has a texture, and their arms are posing a little bit out of their socket, and it's very more adapted to the game than actual minifigs would be. And then I like this one because it actually gives you some pretty good details for this large cruiser in the background. And if I was really looking for something to do, I might I might try to piece this together on Digital Designer or something. Just based on the external frame here, could get a pretty good idea of which pieces need to go where. What's lacking is the attachment points for the inside stuff. And I assume they had model designers build these up from scratch, probably with some internal details, just as part of the game development, but that's all speculation. What would be easier to build would be these rockets. Could probably throw these together on LDD pretty quick and then share those on Rebrickable at some point. And I also have this one. So this was the image used for the poster, and Josh and I both have a physical copy of the poster. So at some point I could go through some of the paper posters that I do have, and this would be in that stack. But yeah, I spent a lot of time looking at this before I went to sleep. If I couldn't sleep some nights, this was up by my bed. So I would just kind of look through all the details in here, and yeah, 10 years ago, those were some good times. So those are the LEGO Universe ones, some of the 5 that I saved anyway. And then if you go back kind of to the 90s, early 2000s, I'm also kind of, the Drome Racers theme has been growing on me. I don't know a lot about it, but this older Racers theme with the Drome logo, it's very intriguing to me. So I saved 2 of those. And then some Power Miners. Those are fun. This is just like a little cave scene. Mars mission, again with that space. And then going back a step to LEGO Battles. So this includes Mars mission minifigs, but it's also kind of set in a larger world. Then go back a little more to Rock Raiders, and this is from the game, 1999. What's interesting here is we have some of the details that would have been decorated on minifig torsos are rendered here as actual like pockets and stuff. And so they brought it into that 3D space. And this looked almost like some of what the minifigure customizers do when they're working with clay and plasticine and kind of making their own custom minifigs. Kind of reminded me of that. And then a Alpha Team kind of skeleton army here makes a good desktop. But the aspect ratio is kind of designed for the older cathode ray tube monitors. So you could probably extend it actually and get a 16:9 aspect ratio pretty easily, just copy and paste. And here's another Alpha Team with some of the main characters. Actually lines up the squad here. I actually hadn't seen all of the minifigs before because I don't think they all come in one set. And then I think I saved 2 Atlantis ones. So this one was cool. It's just got the 1 sub and then all of the ruins down at the bottom. I do have a couple Atlantis sets, but I never got into that theme a lot either. And then this would be from the old Discovery sets. So some of the first iterations of the rover and those more obscure satellites. LEGO did a couple sets for those. And then I want to end today with a factory kind of banner image, and this is what I call the forgotten modulars. So on the right side we've got the iconic Cafe Corner and Market Street. So at this point these would have been released as sets, and that was in 2007. So this is probably dating to 2007, 2008, shortly after the release of these sets. Now what this is building on is the factory theme, and Market Street was actually a product of this theme. So Market Street was developed by a fan designer, kind of an early form of ideas in a way, but it wasn't actually like a community vote. It was just more of a selected program, and certain fan creations were selected to become official LEGO sets. So we've got the official LEGO model. This was all internal. Jamie Berard was the designer for the Cafe Corner. And then from the fan A Full World came Market Street. And then the rest of this image is actually kind of custom modulars that would fit into the style and the compatibility of the first two modulars, but they were never really officially acknowledged. In fact, this banner is the only time I've seen these particular creations. I have seen a lot of other fan modulars, and actually quite a few dating back to this era, because when these two launched in 2007, I think a lot of fans did realize the potential of having a modular street layout system, and latched onto that, with the spacing of the pins and building on top of a standard base plate size. I think people got that idea pretty quickly and were doing their own mocks. But this looks to me like it's all digital designer buildings, and some of them even kind of set at little angles. It gives it a lot more of an organic feel, like an Amsterdam, so an old world street where it's not all right angles but has a little more gentle curves, and maybe it's following a river or something. So yeah, there's not a lot. We can't actually see the bottom floors of these buildings. It kind of fades off in a gradient, but still very interesting to me to see some of the other factory things that were floating around from this era that actually date back to the Cafe Corner and the Market Street. So if I had to pick a favorite from all of those wallpapers, actually in the entire collection on Brickset, it would be this factory image, and then these other 17 or so would be my favorites of the series. But yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys today, and hopefully if you do have some time, I would recommend checking this out. Like I said, there's kind of two different collections. So collection 1 and 2 have some different themes, different year ranges. In fact, a lot of these in collection 2 are the box art without the Lego logo and theme logo, and it's just the set and an environment. So those are interesting as well. Check them out if you got some time. But that is the video for today, guys. Thanks for watching Brick System Brothers, and we'll see you next time.